Hi, everybody. It's Sloan Rhodes here. Welcome to the podcast. Today is my 10th podcast, so that's really an exciting time for me to have managed to make it this far. When I first started contemplating the idea of a podcast, it actually came together very, very quickly without necessarily a real true plan in place, but it's developing nicely, and I really enjoyed having a guest last week with my daughter April being on the show, and I intend to have more and more guests as we go forward. Guests from the fields of metaphysics, spirituality, religion, philosophy, all kinds of people from all walks of life talking about their experiences and how it relates to spirituality, metaphysics, healing, transformation. So I have a lot coming up for everyone, so I hope that you're all enjoying it. But as far as today's podcast, I think what I really wanted to connect to was this idea of purpose and life purpose and a sense of purpose in the world, because I'm about to release all the, on my YouTube channel, the life purpose and career readings for all astrological signs for the month of April, May, and June. And I have to say that the life purpose readings are really some of my favorite readings to do. I just love helping people connect to their sense of purpose in the world, and it's very, very gratifying and exciting for me to see people come alive in that way. So I thought it'd be really a nice way to spend today's podcast is talking about how to connect to your sense of purpose more and more. It's a very tricky topic for people to navigate, because I think there's so many expectations and agendas and fear and anxiety about having a career, making money, being able to support yourself and your family, and also a sense of not wanting to not live up to your potential, right? This idea that, why are we here? What am I here for? I'm not just here to work 9 to 5, make money, this kind of thing. And of course that's true. But regardless of what it is that you are actually doing to make money, you can still be connecting deeply to your sense of purpose in the world. So I'm hoping that knowledge in and of itself will help provide you with a sense of comfort and relief, because it's really not so much about what you are doing, it's the way in which you are doing it, what you are bringing forth from within as you experience your world, whether it be your relationships, your work life, your creative life, whatever it may be. So let me go on about this so you have a greater understanding. Truly, the reason we are all here, the underlying purpose of our incarnations, is to fall deeply and madly in love with ourselves. Right? The more that we love ourselves unconditionally, without judgment, without fear, without anxiety, the more that we begin to experience that love multiplied in our external environment. But there's many layers to this, of course. And so one of the first ways that you can begin to connect more deeply to your sense of purpose, right, your life purpose, if you will, is to connect to the sense of joy and play within. When you were a child and you came into this world, you had no other agenda other than to play and discover your world. And through your discovery of your world, discovering yourself, and through discovery of yourself, discovering your world. And that was it. That was your whole purpose, right? But as we go through life, there become many complex layers to this. We no longer feel that we have the right to be playful if it is not earning enough money, or what people perceive as earning enough money. We begin to feel that we are not worthy and deserving of having a playful, joyful life if other people are suffering. We don't want to disappoint parents, family, friends, ourselves. There's a striving to somehow live up to this potential where that is never actually attainable. So if we can bring it right back to childhood, bring your sense of purpose in the world right back to this idea of play and joyfulness, you begin to connect to that feeling that already exists within you. You don't have to go out and find your life purpose outside of yourself. It exists within you. It is not separate from you. It is not being withheld from you. It is not in a dusty drawer at the bottom of some cabinet in the attic that has already been, created for you. It exists within you right here and now. And so regardless of what you do for a living, you can connect to that sense of joyfulness and playfulness. So let's just bring it to the very, very practical. If you are going about your day and you find that there is something that makes you smile, maybe it's someone walks by and smiles, maybe you see something on your commute, maybe you remember something that makes you smile, regardless, right then and there, stop yourself and acknowledge the joy that you are feeling. Because when you acknowledge it, it helps to begin to amplify it, right? So you remind yourself right away, you acknowledge it. Look, I'm smiling. I feel a sense of joy right now. And I know it sounds silly, but if you don't acknowledge things, it's incredibly difficult to build upon them, right? So you acknowledge, wow, I just really felt joyful for a second there. For a split second, there is a sense of joy. And you connect to that, and you remind yourself that you are a joyful being, and you can begin to pull that out of you in each and every moment. So you say you're driving to work, you see something that makes you smile, you acknowledge it like, wow, I just felt really joyful for a split second there. You get to work, and you begin to look around your environment with a sense of joyfulness and playfulness. Oh, look at what that person's wearing today. They have socks that don't match, or oh, I can see that so and so spilled something on their tie today. Or, oh, look, there's that, whatever it may be. And there's a million trillion different ways that you can find something silly and joyful and playful in your environment. And even if you're driving and you feel frustrated that you're stuck in traffic or something, you can, laugh at the incongruity of, maybe this beautifully dressed woman is driving this really beat up, dirty car, or the reverse is true. There's so many incongruities that we can look at and laugh at. These little absurdities in life. And so the more that you do that, that is your sense of play. Because when you connect to your sense of joy and playfulness and you expand upon it, you cannot help but increase your vibration. And when you increase your vibration, you begin to change the vibratory field of what is around you. And so the longer that you can sustain that, the longer that, the more easily it is to create a shift in the external. And the reason that it's fun to do it in this way is that it does not overwhelm the senses. It does not overwhelm the ego. If you were to say to yourself, I want to find out what my life purpose is in the next 3 months, that is overwhelming and to the emotions, and the ego will have a field day. Your ego will come in very strongly, and it will distract you in a multitude of ways from living a life that's peaceful and joyful and playful, because the ego likes to keep you in that place of fear and anxiety. It's what the ego is familiar with. Not because the ego is good or bad, as you know, but because that's what the ego's job is it keeps you in the familiar. And the familiar is having that level of fear and adrenaline running through your body. So you're wanting to connect more and more to your sense of purpose, right? The more that you can do that in the moment, you go into the coffee shop, you smile at the barista, you have an exchange, that is your purpose right then and there, bringing that sense of lightness, of playfulness, of joyfulness, if that is indeed what is happening with the exchange. When you walk into the coffee shop, you beam love from your heart at each and every individual in there without knowing them, without them knowing it, not because you're trying to get anything back from them, but because you get to, because that's fun, because that's playful. Different ways everyone's going to experience this. It may be that you go into that coffee shop and you, in your imagination, you are wondering how many people have a white car, or you are wondering, or you make up a little story about the person sitting down or the person standing in line in front of you. Whatever it is that you can begin to engage a sense of playfulness where you are not attached to an outcome, where you don't need to know if that person really does have a white car, if you do not need to ever know if that person has the life that you just imagined for them. It doesn't matter, because you're beginning to operate in a realm of play and joy, and that brings you back to your sense of purpose. And when you do that, you open up more and more to what you like to do. It's like you give yourself permission to begin to play again. And when you play, solutions come to you because you're open, you're receptive, and you're not worried. When you are fearful and filled with anxiety, you are locked down. And it's just a different way of approaching this idea of connecting to your sense of purpose, so that you can allow yourself a little bit of time to shift the energy. And that way, the more that you play, the more that you begin to remember what brings you joy. Because it's not about the money that you earn or the job that you do. It's about what you enjoy doing. Because when you enjoy doing something, you're doing it with a sense of love. And all things expand from love. When you are absolutely in love with the thing that you are doing, you cannot help but create more and more loving experiences for yourself. So even if you have to write a report either at school or do something that for your job that isn't necessarily your favorite thing, the more that you can just fall in love with your fingers typing on the keyboard, or the colors that appear on the screen, or the fact that someone has a laugh in the office that always makes you smile, or whatever it might be, or the fact that there's a color that you enjoy wearing, or it could be any number of things. It's not anyone's job to give you these moments. It's your job to identify them, to expand upon them, to increase your own sense of joyfulness. When you're feeling that sense of play, that sense of joy, you shift the vibratory field. You open up more and more to being receptive to what your guides and angels are whispering in your ear. And that leads you to more and more moments where suddenly you are living a whole day with more and more moments of feeling a sense of purpose, because you know that your sense of purpose is to be joyful, not for anyone else, not to uplift anyone else. That's a very different energy. That's an exhausting energy. You're finding that joy for you because you love it, because it makes you smile inside, because it makes you feel alive and feel vital and feel connected to the divine. And I guarantee you that when you do this more and more, and you are living as many moments as possible like this during the day, your sense of purpose begins to manifest in ways that can bring in money. All things come to love, including abundance, including money. And you become more imaginative, more creative, more vital in the things that you do. You're going to have a sense of vitality, a sense of energy that brings other opportunities into your life, other people, other experiences, and it just kind of snowballs. It's a really wonderful, wonderful way to begin to connect more and more deeply to a greater sense of purpose in your life, a greater sense of why you are here, what are you meant to do? Because if you just look at it from that perspective, it's very daunting, it's very confusing, and it can't help but get the ego involved to where you're suddenly experiencing fear and anxiety, as opposed to this beautiful sense of play and joy. And, if you ever feel as though it's difficult to get into that place, listen to a comedian online, watch dolphins. For me, dolphins are so playful. They really remind me of why I'm here, which is part of the reason for me is always to feel a sense of joy and playfulness in the moment, and dolphins really remind me of that. But you're going to have your own things that you like to do that bring you that sense of joy and playfulness. For some people, it might be playing with their children or grandchildren, or I could go on, but of course you understand the message here. So anyway, I hope that you find that helpful, and be sure to listen to your life purpose and career readings as well, as I get them up hopefully this week on YouTube for all astrological signs, because it's another way to begin to play, without looking at those readings, or any reading for that matter, as being something that is set in stone. But it's just another way to play with your divinity, to play with the idea and the possibilities of what you can do or might do or want to do, without any sense of fear or anxiety or lack. Whenever we have that sense of lack, that we're not good enough, it really kills any sense of spontaneity and joy. So do the best you can to keep it playful and joyful, and connect to those moments in each and every chance you can, and it'll just they really do expand upon one another. So anyway, I hope you find that helpful. I wish you much love as always. Till next time.